Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Zach Drew.
And I'm Andrew Bellers.
Listen, wherever you are watching from today, I really want to encourage you. Right now, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Basically, it's incredibly simple. Whether you're watching on YouTube or not, please just go to YouTube, and there's a bright red button beneath the video. Just click it. Hit subscribe. It's 100% free. And as soon as you do that, there's a little bell that's going to come up right to the right of the red subscribe button that you just hit. Make sure you click that so you're notified on our next videos. Listen, because there's a lot of people, Andrew, that want to support the ministry, but they just don't have the financial needs to do so. One way that you can support us in an incredible way is truly subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I have never once on the program ever even really talked about YouTube and to subscribe, but I've been talking to some of my other YouTube friends that have very prominent Christian channels on YouTube, and they were telling me that after you hit 1,000 subscribers, that YouTube will actually pay you to do videos for YouTube, which is a phenomenal thing to monetize your channel. So here's the thing. Listen, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I think, Andrew, that we're entering into a new wave of Christian media, of Christian television, where the old ways of raising money, while they are A-okay, they don't seem to work for a millennial type of generation. So the church has to be creative in the new ways that we can literally sustain the ministries that the Lord has called us to.
Yeah, well, we are moving into a new age, and this really, this really would help us out. And this is just one of the first, small goals. Listen, the ministry is growing. It will grow only faster as we get deeper into it, and this is just one of the first small goals that we're trying to hit with it. So
whether you're watching from the PTL television network on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, whether you're listening on one of the radio stations that the show is broadcast to every week on about 10 different platforms for podcasts, maybe you're watching on our Facebook page, wherever you're watching, once again, I encourage you, please go to the YouTube page and subscribe to this channel. We currently have 374 subscribers. Whenever you click the subscribe button, check to see how many subscribers we have whenever you've decided to subscribe. Also, if you want to donate, you can donate to the ministry. Simply go to zachdrewshow.com, click the orange button, says donate, or write us at IGBY at PO Box 797, Decatur, Illinois 62525. All right, here we go. We are going to be covering more things that deal with China and the secret concentration camps that it's like the world doesn't care that these are taking place. And we are led to believe, based on some information here, that some horrific things are happening within those concentration camps, detention centers, re-education camps, whatever you want to call it. They're horrific.
Yeah, and it is strange that this doesn't seem to be something that's really been covered in mainstream news media. It's something that, since the last time we covered it, it has been reappearing, and it's kind of like, okay, we should do another show on this because we're just finding there's more information that is important and interesting.
And it's linked to future re-education centers in the United States. Okay, so we're going to be covering this on today's program. But here's the thing. Don't become desensitized to what I'm about ready to say. Thousands and thousands of Chinese citizens are disappearing from their families, never to be heard from again. These are Christians, these are Buddhists, these are Muslims, these are, they're not necessarily reserved for anybody. It's anybody who kind of sticks it to the man, so to speak, sticks it to the communist government, that they just, not necessarily even boldly, but just their religious views.
Anyone who's just a little bit right of communism.
Exactly, a little bit right of communism, so I'd be in a concentration camp.
So would I.
People often ask me, so where do you lie on your views, Zach? I always say, probably a little right of Ted Nugent.
That's clearly a joke.
Yeah, that is a joke, completely a joke. I'm teasing, it's just a funny thing to say. But there really are. So we're laughing about something really serious right now, but there are over 1 million people in one singular camp in China. Of this one camp that we know how many people are in, there could literally be millions of people in camps spread all throughout China. You see, here's the story from this week. Central Asians cry out over China's secret detention camps. It's like, why is this a story? And why aren't millions and millions of people talking about it?
Yeah.
All right, here I'm going to read two stories from two different family accounts. So there's this girl named Asela. Asela fights back tears in her home of Kyrgyzstan as she recalls the first time she heard her husband whisked away to one of the notorious internment camps in neighboring China's troubled Xinjiang region. So Sherbek, which is a Chinese-born mining executive, it's her husband, had told his wife everything was fine when he traveled to his company's office in Xinjiang to deal with, quote, some problems. But then his phone went dead in October of last year. Not this year, October of last year. So this man, who's 33, had no information about what had happened until a few weeks later when a company representative, the wife had no idea what had happened until a few weeks later a representative from the company phoned her and said that her husband had been, quote, sent away to study in a camp. Okay. I asked her, what is he studying? The reply on the other end of the phone left her stunned. The company simply said, we're going to try to get him back, but there's no guarantees. What? Like, oh, he's doing a study at a camp. Don't worry about it. Oh, but by the way, we're trying to get him back, but there's no guarantees. Like, this is
terrifying.
It is.
And that's not just the story of one man. That's the story of literally 1 million people.
Exactly.
And the world is not crying out over this.
Yeah. And these aren't some vocational centers like China is now promoting, which we're going to get to that. They boldly faced lied about this. So back to the story. So he had initially told his wife he needed to stay for some time, but he continued to phone regularly until one day over a year ago, the calls just stopped. And basically it says, my son is 12 years old at school. People ask him, where's your dad disappeared to? Like literally families are saying, you know, what's happened to your dad? What's happened to your mom? What's happened to your uncle? Like where are they at?
Yeah.
And people can't answer it. Ordinary people are missing. Here's another story. Family members of those missing have also stepped up awareness campaigns, committees. One 30-year-old Chinese-born Kyrgyz from Kyrgyzstan told AFP he fears at least 6 of his relatives are being held. They just don't know where they went. They're ordinary people, shepherds, small-time traders. I can't believe this has happened to him, this man says. The family members have not been heard of for, once again, over a year. So this man here, who's a natural-born Kyrgyz citizen, was the first Chinese-born Kyrgyz to enter the national parliament following elections in 2015. His brother, Mr. Unas, a Chinese citizen and historian, is one of several academics that have been arrested by the Xinjiang authorities this year. So he has been arrested, so to go somewhere with this, he's been arrested by the Xinjiang authorities this year. And this is what his assistant had actually told the AFP investigation. A representative of the Xinjiang Foreign Affairs Office said it had no knowledge of Yuna's arrest. Asked about alleged arrests of Kyrgyz, the Chinese foreign minister said officials do not have any information. So now, they're not only missing, Andrew, they're missing. It has been confirmed that they have been arrested by the Xinjiang police. They contact the police, and they say, oh, we've never heard of the man.
Man, imagine that. I mean, one of those stories, it said up to 6 people in his family. Imagine if 6 people in your family just disappeared and you contact the police. You say, hey, like these people that I love and care for are gone. And the police says, we don't know anything about it. We're not going to investigate it.
So some reports say that in all of the camps together, there could be millions, but the report is saying nearly up to 2 million. But the fact of the matter is, who really knows? We have no idea. I think that whatever media can find out about the Chinese concentration camps is going to pale in comparison to what's really taking place. And remember, we are going to be connecting this back to America. It's going to pale in comparison. And we'd be foolish to think that China would willingly let us in on what they are doing.
Yeah.
Case in point, Andrew, they have already boldly faced bold-faced lied about these camps. They've said they are not true. They are not existent. You are, basically, they're saying that you are liars. And then based on investigations of people literally sneaking in and reporting on it, the Chinese government has now completely retracted that sentence. Can you believe that? Here's a quote from the AFP. Beijing previously denied the existence of the re-education camps. So completely denied them. Nope. Hey, we know you guys have these things. No, we don't. We swear. We don't have these camps. And now they're defending them. Which is it, China? how do you defend something that's non-existent? Completely non-existent. And now they're defending them. It says, and now they defend them as vocational education and training centers. So no. We don't have these. You guys are crazy. We would never have these.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we do have them. But they're re-education centers.
They're good places.
Yeah.
They're nice places.
Exactly.
They're places where people can learn more about how nice communist China is.
Yeah, so yeah, these are very peaceful places, as you know, as the AFP investigation reported. How about you just tell me if these are peaceful places? They published in October these findings, and that October showed authorities for the Xinjiang detention centers had purchased police batons, electric cattle prods, handcuffs, pepper spray, stun guns, and razor wire. Razor wire. You know, the razor wire, you know, that... You know, what is that for? You think people are going to want to be coming to this center? Is it to keep people out? No. It's razor wire to keep people in. So electric cattle prods, razor wire, these are not peaceful places. Well, China would never do that. Well, first of all, everybody watching would be able to say, well, yeah, China would be able to do that. But just for history's sake, have they done it before?
Well, of course they've done it before. I mean, this is nothing new. Back in the 50s, famously, China had Mao labor camps, and they were also called re-education through labor camps. One of them, I'm gonna totally ruin this name, so I'm not even gonna give a shot at it.
Chinese is tough.
It is tough. You know, English is more my speed. But one of these camps, it ran between 1957 and 1961. It was designed to hold between 40 and 50 criminals, or as the Chinese government would label them, criminals. But they overcrowded it with 3,000 people. A camp made for 40 or 50, and 3,000 were living. Basically a small oasis completely surrounded by salt marshes and desert. I mean, it was like no man's land. And they had to farm all their own food. Like, nobody would bring in any outside resources.
Were they re-educated? I mean, were they... No, seriously, I mean, like, I don't know.
Well, no, they weren't, because out of 3,000, about 2,500 died at that camp, mostly from starvation. In fact, in order to survive, the prisoners had to eat leaves, tree bark, worms, rats, even human and animal waste.
Oh, my.
And then when it got really bad, they would eat the dead.
Oh my gosh.
It says the bodies were left unburied because the prisoners were too weak from malnourishment to even bury their friends, the people that they loved. When the government found out really how bad, because it's like there weren't guards there or anything. It was just like, we're putting you out in the middle of nowhere. There's no escape.
Made for 50 people, 3,000 people were sent there, and 2,500 died. That's horrific.
That's almost all of them. So when the government found out about, you know, how bad the conditions were, they evacuated the survivors in 1961, closed the camp, and issued a cover-up. So they actually had a doctor make false reports for every single prisoner who was there, stating different causes of death, which were, you know, they were all natural causes, but none of them were starvation. And now, to this day, they even have guards.
Yeah, that's so ridiculous.
They even have guards around it.
Stuff.
Yeah, so people whose family has been sent to the camp, you know, over the years, have gone to try and build memorials. The government has completely destroyed their memorials. There's guards around the camp, so nobody can get in. It's just a complete cover-up. A complete cover-up. And that's what China's doing now. It's like, what you think is happening, it's not happening. It's not as bad as you think it is.
So I don't know how much information they're going to receive, but so what is being done? I know that the United States and Germany have both requested UN access to Xinjiang. We'll see what comes of that. But you need to know, I mean, take to your social media. I mean, you know, get people understanding what is taking place. All right, here's the next part. Listen, I don't know exactly how the China social credit system and the Chinese detention camps correlate with what is known as Chinese ghost cities. But I do feel that they do correlate somehow. You know, we've already covered the Chinese credit score that will be rolled out to 1.4 billion Chinese citizens by the year 2020. It's already been rolled out in Beijing right now. We've covered how it works. We've covered the score and how it'll be given and how it will continue to change. But by simple way of review, I want to say this, that the social credit score that's given to every Chinese citizen, your daily activities in the physical and digital world will be continuously monitored. What you buy at stores and online will be taken into play based on your digital score. You know, good purchases, your score goes up, bad purchases go down. If you play video games, it goes down. If you buy diapers, your score goes up because it assumes you're a responsible parent. Nice messages about the government online, your score goes up. If bad messages, your score goes down. If your friends online post good things about the government, your score goes up. If your friends or family post bad things about the government, your score goes down. Now, based on your score, it will determine if you can get a reservation at a restaurant. A low score will ban you from most golf courses. You will not be able to purchase good internet. You will actually only be, you'll only have incredibly slow, annoying internet available to you. It'll affect your odds of getting a date online, on dating platforms. You will have the right to travel abroad completely removed. You won't even be able to leave your town. Beijing, like I said, it's already going out in Beijing right now. They have already banned over 11 million train rides just for people to get to another city within China. This is all based on your credit score, and now we've even suggested that it could mean you even get sent to re-education camps. Now listen, if you don't know much about the Chinese social credit system, I want to encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and simply click on and watch. It's called Orwellian China 2020 for a more full scope of this. You see, studying the social credit system and learning more about these detention centers, I can't help but to think that these eerie ghost cities will one day play a role in both of these. You know, our producer of the show, Ricky, I want you to start putting up these images of these cities that are in China. These cities that you're seeing in China, they're non-existent. I mean, like no one's there. Throughout China, there are hundreds of cities that have almost everything one needs for a modern urban lifestyle. High-rise apartment complexes, developed waterfront skyscrapers, and even public art. Everything that is, except for one major factor: people. They don't have people. These mysterious cities are a part of China's larger plan to move, they're saying, plan to move more rural people to these major urban centers.
Well, they're really, I mean, it's really a mystery. And a lot of people, I think, have taken a lot of guesses at what these could be. And I've even heard that the purpose of them is to inflate the housing market and to stilt up the economy because, you know, China's economy is failing. And there's just been a lot of shots in the dark at what these are. But really, China's building tons of buildings that are completely empty and for no purpose. I mean, we don't know the purpose for them.
I mean, look at these cities. These are beautiful.
They're huge.
They're massive. I mean, these are like Chicago. I mean, this is like Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, and many Chicagos. Because if you look at the few million people that live in Chicago, and then how many people are being able to be housed in these cities, they're far larger than Chicago.
Imagine the government built a big Chicago.
And
for no one. It's just empty.
And a lot of these cities, if you looked at those pictures carefully, I mean, they're like I said, there are city art. There are literally trees and shrubs. Many of them are fake because, well, people aren't going to be there for years. I mean, who knows what they're going to be used for. They have museums set up in place with art in them. They have shopping centers set up in place. I mean, they have swimming pools and ponds and lakes. You know, it's literally, have you ever seen the movie I Am Legend?
Yeah.
Where he's like the last man living on Earth, and as he goes through New York
Yeah.
City, it's a very eerie, like just kind of a scary feeling. I mean, that's a feeling I got while going through these photos, Andrew. And here's the thing. These cities that China has built, these eerie ghost cities, they are capable to house over 300 million people. 300 million. That's why I'm saying you can't just think, oh, well, you know, they built a couple random Chicagos. No. There's a little over 300 million people in all of the United States. Every man, woman, and child of all the United States, it's a little over 300 million. They have literally built cities throughout China that no one is inhabiting that could house up to 300 million people.
All of America.
Yeah.
All of America could live in. That's just imagine for a second. Just take a minute to try and grasp the scale of these huge ghost cities. That all of America could comfortably inhabit these cities. That is how vast they are.
I think that we don't realize just how horrific China's going to be in the future. I mean, even in the study of prophetic events, maybe you do understand it. But it's just not a stretch at all to think that one day people will be forced to live in these cities under very hostile environments, given a poor quality of life or maybe a high quality of life based on their social credit score. And maybe if it just goes so low, you have to live in this city, and it literally would just be a massive detention center. I don't know. I'm not claiming to know how it all correlates, but I do feel that there is a bad ending for these Chinese eerie ghost cities, and I do feel that they very well could correlate to them. All right, last section. Could this ever happen in America? Well, many would say detention camps, no, that couldn't ever happen in America. But let me tell you, baby, you'd be shaking in your boots if you truly knew who was running this country from behind the scenes. Puppet masters run this country, and their puppets have names. You know, you can just call them Barack Obama, you can have the Clintons. You know, I really do not believe that these are the puppet masters. I do not believe that the Obamas, I do not believe these people that we actually can see. I do not believe that they themselves are the puppet masters. I believe that they are simply the puppets. Now, I do believe that they're simply just well-compensated, well-trained marionettes of a new world order. A marionette, we're controlling a puppet by strings.
So so the point here is that you see America the way that it is and the way that it's always been, and you think something like that could never happen here. But when you look at the nature of some of these people, I mean, let's just take a little history trip for a second, Maybe you've heard about the Weatherman terrorists. Maybe you haven't. I didn't hear a lot about them, which is kind of funny because they actually started in Ann Arbor. Now, this is going somewhere. Oh, yeah. But they started in Ann Arbor. They were basically a little campus, I guess a little like Satan's Campus Crusade. And they were founded and they were called the Weather Underground Organization. In 1970, the group declared a state of war against the United States. And then they took credit for over 25 bombings that happened in the United States, including one at the U.S. Capitol and at the Pentagon. So they were in all-out war. This little group that started on a campus, they all-out war against the government. They wanted to destroy what they called U.S. imperialism. And their goal, their ultimate goal, was to achieve world communism. Now, the importance of me talking about these people is that this group, this American terrorist group, was led by a man named Bill Ayers.
He was the leader. And who was Bill Ayers? Bill Ayers was, for the most part, the leading political mentor to none other than former President Barack Obama. And so you literally have Bill Ayers, who is truly the leader of a previous terrorist organization, which they completely proved that. But because of the law, they were able to prove it through secret FBI investigations, and because, unfortunately, the FBI broke the law in the process, the evidence that was obtained on Bill Ayers couldn't be viewed as hard evidence because it was obtained in an illegal way.
Right.
But like they had them, he was a terrorist.
Yeah.
And he was the political mentor of Barack Obama. So you have a guy like this that is literally mentoring previously the most powerful man in the world. So now tell us, you see, a mentor disciples a mentee. I mean, I don't know what the word is. A mentor disciples someone. And so your thoughts, your ways go into the heart of the people that you're mentoring. So tell us, what was in Bill Ayers' heart, and what can we be led to believe was ultimately in former President Barack Obama's heart?
Yeah, so I have an article here that says, according to former FBI agent Larry Grathwohl, who was assigned to infiltrate the Weather Underground Central Committee, he said that Ayers and his group planned to deal with Americans who wanted to try to resist this takeover, basically this communist takeover of the government, by establishing re-education centers. He wanted to establish re-education centers in the Southwest. Asked what he would do with those who still refused to convert to communism, to this new takeover. Ayers said that they would have to be, quote, eliminated.
Eliminated. And how many?
25 million Americans would be killed in concentration camps. The purpose of these camps was to re-educate. This is what he said, re-educate people into a new way of thinking. And this is a man who was crucial to launching Obama's political career.
And this was, where's our comment? Like you said, this isn't just like hearsay from your crazy uncle that just, is always spouting off conspiracy theories. This was from former FBI agent who was assigned to infiltrate the Weather Underground Central Committee, and he did. You see, this is what is ultimately in the heart of the radical left. Radical left. I'm telling you right now, this is a crazy world. We don't have any more time. This is a crazy world. And it's only going to get crazier. But I want to encourage you, as a Christian, this isn't your home. There is a new earth and a new heaven that will one day be created for you and I to dwell with Jesus, to worship Jesus, to worship God forever and all of eternity. So let me tell you right now that if you are incredibly not encouraged, if you're sad, if you're not feeling great after watching this episode, I believe it is our responsibility to keep you informed. But just remember that if you're ever fearful of what's coming, because I know what's coming, but I'm truly not fearful. Because I'm telling you right now that if you are fearful, it's a clear indication that your eyes are in the wrong place. Just focus on Jesus. Be informed and focus on Jesus. Hey, once again, I want to encourage you, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Simply just type in The Zach Drew Show and hit that bright red subscribe button. And then when the little bell comes up to the right after that, click the bell to be notified on our future videos. It's 100% free. and it would help us greatly. We'll see you next week.